بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي من علينا بنعم لا تعد ولا تحصى. الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الحمد لله الذي خصنا بخير كتاب أنزل وبخير نبي أرسل سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Inshallah, we're just going to be continuing from every week up into the lead up to Ramadan. We want to remind ourselves of the necessity to prepare for Ramadan. We are in the month of Rajab, which will briefly be ending soon, and then we'll jump into Sha'ban, and then obviously Ramadan. So may Allah bless this month of Rajab for us and bless the month of Sha'ban, and Ballighna Ramadan. May He allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. Allahumma ameen. This week I wanted to remind myself and yourself about one of the fundamental virtues in terms of the ibadat that we want to be conscious of as we prepare for Ramadan, and that is the ibadah of dua, of supplication. To highlight the significance of having an open communication with Allah, I want us to reflect upon briefly the incident where Musa alayhi salam is speaking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we all know, Musa alayhi salam, when he was called by Allah, Musa was scared, right? And he was scared from that incident when Allah was speaking to him. And when Allah saw the fear in Musa, He asked him a question. He said, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا Musa? What is in your right hand? And Musa was carrying his staff, the walking stick that he usually walked with. And so Musa said, هِيَ عَصَاي أَتَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهِ وَأَهُشُّ بِهَا عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. This is my staff. I use it to lean on it, and I herd my sheep with it. وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. And there are other things that I do with my staff. So the ulama of Arabic rhetoric, of balagha, they noted a few very beautiful things. Number one, the type of question that Allah asked. Allah is asking a question to Musa out of love and compassion for Musa, because He noticed that Musa is scared from this very profound moment. So He asks him a question to distract him. And of course, lillahi wa li rasulihi al-mathalu al-a'la. But just like when you have a child who hurts themselves or who gets hurt, you immediately tell them what? Is that your nose? To kind of distract them. Oh yeah, this is my nose, yeah. So of course, وَلِلَّهِ وَلَرَسُولِهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, but this was similar in a question to distract Musa from the intensity of the moment. But Musa's response, as our ulama say, is really beautiful as well. In that Musa says, this is my staff, I lean on it, I use it to walk on it, and I use it to herd my sheep, and I have other things that I do with it. وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. He literally says, there are other things that I do with it. Now, in the Arabic language, the sufficient response to the question of what is in your hand would be what? A stick. That is the sufficient response. Beyond that would be categorized as elongation in speech. There are reasons, however, why someone may elongate their speech. And one of the beautiful reasons is that when the person is sitting with their loved one, they don't want this conversation to end. So they keep on saying whatever they can to ensure that the gathering does not end. They don't want the conversation to stop. So here Allah is asking Musa a question, and Musa doesn't want to just say it's my stick. He wants to keep the connection with Allah going. He wants to keep the conversation going. So he says, it's my stick, and I do this, and I do that. And there are other things that I do with it as well. Subhanallah. So in that we see a particular type of beauty in the spirit that a believer should have when engaging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a desire to be constantly connected to Allah in the most intimate of ways. And this is why the ibadah of dua is so substantial in this regard. It is an opportunity for me to be in constant communication with Allah. The fact that Allah opened up for us this spiritual dimension, this ibadah of dua, to be in communication to Him, to say whatever we want to say to Him, to ask Him anything we want, to constantly be in that state. You understand why the Prophet ﷺ says, "Ad-du'a'u huwa al-ibadah." That dua, supplication, it is ibadah. This is uslub hasl al-qasr to indicate that if ibadah is anything, it is dua. It is calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is remembering Allah in this distinct way. And so, as we prepare for the month of Ramadan, the month that we know is a month of istijaba, where Allah responds to our call, right? We have to be conditioned from now to be ready to ask. Because a lot of us, we may get very keen on asking in particular moments. Maybe, we get really excited in one of the odd nights, the last 10 nights, and so we really push ourselves to sit there and make dua. But because the companions knew that the entirety of the month of Ramadan was a month of istijaba, they prepared in advance all of the dua they wanted to make in Ramadan. So they would have a prepared list of dua that they would basically run down all the special moments in the month of Ramadan. So that every single time they could, and every single time they had an opportunity, they would read their dua. So the fact that our companions had this adab, this etiquette of preparing their dua list for Ramadan should make us think about what we're doing to prepare for Ramadan in that regard. Are we preparing our thoughts and our ideas and the types of dua that we want to make? And what exactly do we want to ask and why? I want to talk about with Allah, for example, about the fact that I'm not married. How am I going to have that conversation with Allah? I want to speak to Him about it. Not just to say, Ya Allah, grant me a spouse. But I want to say to Allah, Ya Allah, I know that you're the wisest, and I know that you're the all-wise, the all-knowing, and I ask you from your infinite grace and your mercy to bless me with a spouse that will be of a righteous spouse for me, that will help me gain your rida, your pleasure, to gain your Jannah, because I want to fulfill half of my deen. I want to do this and I want to do that. Have a beautiful, open conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what we learned from Musa alayhi salam. And so inshallah, as we're approaching Ramadan, we're thinking about the dimension of dua, and we're thinking about our conditioning for dua, and its role that it must play in Ramadan. Because if I don't develop from now a sensibility of having a communication with Allah, then I'm going to take it for granted from Ramadan. I'm going to sit there and then someone's going to say, by the way, right before Maghrib is a time of istijaba, right? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, let me make dua. Ya Allah, forgive me. Ya Allah, give me Jannah. Ya Allah, forgive me and give me Jannah. 10 times. Jannah and forgiveness. Right? And we're just going to kind of revolve around these very same and very good, obviously. Forgiveness and Jannah is beautiful. But when you show Allah thoughtfulness, right? When you show Allah an awareness from now, don't you think that He's going to heed what you're asking with a different type of interest? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees in you a level of sincerity and thoughtfulness and concern, imagine that. And that's why Allah says, the more you come to me with that which I love, I will become for you your hands and your eyes and so on and so on and so forth, because He sees in you a level of concern. So let us do that from now. Let us commit ourselves to preparation for our dua. Let us be aware of the special moments of dua. The moments of sahar, those early hours, especially before fajr, fi waqt al-suhoor. Those are special moments. Have your suhoor. Before that, you should be up praying already, but have your suhoor and then disconnect for those few moments before adhan. You're making dua, and then between adhan and iqamah is a special time. So you're also disconnected from people at that moment. You're making your dua. That there's a special time for dua right before maghrib. Right? Inshallah, right now that's where we're going to be doing adhkar every single week, right before maghrib, because this is a special moment to remember Allah. We know that the dua is mustajab, right before maghrib and right after the adhan of maghrib. These are all special moments. And so conditioning ourselves in that way, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, will help grow our potential in having our dua accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to condition us to prepare ourselves to make dua, to help us to make our dua list, to be committed, to be thinking about our communication with Allah, to make us of those who love to communicate with Allah the way that Musa alayhi salam loved to communicate with Allah. And may Allah never allow us to cut off our communication with Him. Because Allah is qareeb. Allah is qareeb. You know, He always speaks about Himself as being what? Qareeb. Very close. Allah is closer to you than you can imagine. So why do we feel distance? Because we are the ones who turn our back on Allah. And so may Allah never allow us to do that. And may He always keep us connected to Him. Inshallah, we'll listen attentively as we follow Imam Muhammad. He will lead us through the ma'thurat and the adhkar for the evening. These are beautiful adhkar. All of them are from the high standing of adhkar that we are to make, that gift us all sorts of gifts throughout the day. Right? And I can, inshallah, in the Fajr Club, starting this Sunday, I'm going to be going through each of the adhkar that we make and why we make them and what the virtues are for those adhkar. So you can learn that on Sunday morning, inshallah, but we'll listen attentively to Imam Muhammad. Barakallahu feekum. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.